Some incredible songs just fade away. Not because they weren't good enough, but because that's what happens to even the most beloved music. So today, we're bringing back 15 songs from 1972 that deserve to be heard again. Number 15, Brand New Key by Melanie.
I rode my bicycle past your window.
Remember when a song about roller skates could capture the imagination of an entire generation? Melanie's Brand New Key was everywhere. In 1972, spending 3 weeks at number 1 and becoming one of the most infectious earworms of the decade. Born Melanie Safka in Queens, this folk singer-songwriter had already made her mark at Woodstock. But this playful ditty about roller skating became her signature song.
I got a brand new pair of roller skates.
The story behind the song is as charming as the melody itself. Melanie wrote it during a 27-day fast, and when she finally broke the fast, she felt so liberated that she penned this innocent celebration of simple pleasures. The song's childlike wonder and double entendre lyrics sparked both radio play and controversy. But that's what made it so memorable.
I'm okay alone, but you got something
What made Brand New Key special wasn't just its catchy chorus. It was Melanie's ability to capture the spirit of carefree youth in under 3 minutes. The song represented everything that was optimistic about the early 70s, before cynicism crept into popular culture. Today, you might catch it in a commercial or movie soundtrack, but it rarely gets the radio play it deserves.
Don't go too fast, but I go pretty far.
Number 14, Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking Glass.
And it serves 100 ships a day.
Here's a song that tells a complete story in just over 3 minutes. Looking Glass crafted what might be the perfect pop song about a barmaid in a port town who falls for a sailor who loves the sea more than any woman. The song spent 1 week at number 1 in August 1972, but Looking Glass would never achieve that level of success again.
The sailors say, Brandy, you're a fine girl.
Elliot Lurie, the band's lead singer and songwriter, drew inspiration from his own experiences growing up near the New Jersey shore. The song's narrative structure was unusual for pop music of the time. It had verses that actually advanced a story, with vivid characters and a setting you could picture in your mind. Brandy wasn't just a name in a song. She was a fully realized character with hopes and heartbreak. The production was equally impressive, with its distinctive guitar work and the way the band built tension throughout the song. That moment when the sailor tells Brandy he loves her, but his life, my lover, my lady, is the sea. It's pure poetry, set to a melody that's impossible to forget. The song proved that AM radio could handle sophisticated storytelling, something that seems almost quaint by today's standards. Number 13, Alone Again, Naturally, by Gilbert O'Sullivan. Irish singer-songwriter Gilbert O'Sullivan created one of the most beautifully melancholic songs of 1972, and it spent 6 weeks at number 1. Alone Again, Naturally, is a masterpiece of contradictions. A bouncy, almost cheerful melody wrapped around lyrics that deal with suicide, abandonment, and grief. It's the kind of song that could only have been a hit in the early 70s, when radio wasn't afraid of complexity.
Alone again, naturally.
O'Sullivan, born Raymond O'Sullivan, wrote the song as a reflection on loneliness and life's disappointments. The narrator contemplates suicide after being left at the altar, then reflects on the deaths of his parents. It sounds heavy, and it is, but O'Sullivan's gentle delivery and the song's memorable arrangement made it palatable for mainstream audiences.
It's cheerful, bright and gay, looking forward to...
The song's success was remarkable for an artist who was relatively unknown in America at the time. O'Sullivan's quirky appearance, he dressed like a character from a Dickens novel, and his introspective lyrics made him a unique presence in the pop landscape. Alone Again, Naturally, showed that audiences were hungry for music that dealt with real human emotions, not just the usual teenage concerns of most pop songs.
Looking back over the years, whatever else that...
Number 12, I'd Love to Change the World, by 10 Years After.
Everywhere is freaks and Harris.
10 Years After was known primarily as a blues rock band, especially after their explosive performance at Woodstock. But I'd Love to Change the World showed their more contemplative side. The song reached number 40 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became their biggest hit in America, though it represented a departure from their usual high-energy style.
Population keeps on breeding.
Alvin Lee wrote the song as a commentary on the social and political upheaval of the early 70s. The lyrics touched on everything from tax problems to social inequality, but Lee delivered them with a world-weary resignation that reflected the mood of many Americans at the time. The song's acoustic guitar opening and mellotron arrangement were a far cry from the band's usual electric blues workouts. What made the song resonate wasn't just its message, but its honesty. Lee wasn't pretending to have all the answers. He was just expressing the frustration that many people felt about the state of the world. The song's fatalistic tone captured the end of the 60s optimism and the beginning of the more cynical 70s. It's a time capsule that reminds us that some problems are timeless.
Skies are sunny, bees make honey.
Number 11. Popcorn by Hot Butter. Before disco, before electronica, there was Popcorn, a purely instrumental electronic song that reached number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a worldwide phenomenon. Hot Butter, the studio creation of producer Stan Free, took Gershon Kingsley's original composition and turned it into a futuristic dance anthem that sounded unlike anything else on the radio. The song was recorded entirely on early synthesizers, primarily the Moog, and it created a sound that was both mechanical and organic. The bubbling, popping sound effects that gave the song its name were created using electronic manipulation years before sampling became common. It was a glimpse into the future of music, even if nobody quite realized it at the time. Popcorn proved that a song didn't need vocals to be memorable. The melody was so infectious that it transcended language barriers, becoming a hit in countries around the world. It showed that American audiences were ready for something different, something that challenged their expectations about what popular music could be. The song's influence can be heard in everything from early hip-hop to modern electronic dance music. Number 10. Candyman by Sammy Davis Jr.
And who can take a rainbow?
At age 46, Sammy Davis Jr. proved he could still connect with contemporary audiences when Candyman became his biggest hit since the 1950s. The song, written by Leslie Bricusse and Anthony Newley for the film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, spent 3 weeks at number 1 and showed that the old-school entertainment values still had a place in the early 70s.
Candyman can 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world.
Davis's interpretation of the song was masterful. He took what could have been a simple children's song and turned it into a sophisticated piece of entertainment. His vocal performance was full of personality and charm, with the kind of phrasing that only comes from decades of performing. The arrangement, with its lush orchestration and gospel-influenced backing vocals, was pure Las Vegas showmanship.
Who can take a rainbow? Who can take a rainbow?
The song's success was particularly meaningful because it came at a time when many veterans of the pre-rock era were struggling to find their place in the changing music landscape. Davis proved that talent and charisma could overcome generational divides. Candyman wasn't trying to be hip or contemporary. It was just good entertainment, and audiences responded to that authenticity.
The Candyman can 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world.
Number 9. Lean on Me by Bill Withers.
Sometimes in our life.
Bill Withers was a former aircraft mechanic who didn't release his first album until he was 32. But Lean on Me proved that great songs can come from anywhere. The song spent 3 weeks at number 1 and became an anthem about friendship and community that still resonates today. Withers wrote it about his childhood in a small West Virginia coal mining town, where neighbors really did look out for each other.
Then you won't let show.
The beauty of Lean on Me lies in its simplicity. Withers didn't need complex arrangements or production tricks, just a piano, some hand claps, and one of the most heartfelt vocal performances in popular music. The song's message was universal. Everyone needs somebody to lean on sometimes. It was soul music at its most elemental, stripped down to its emotional core.
Lean on me when you're not.
What made the song special was Withers' authenticity. He wasn't trying to be anyone other than himself, a working-class man who had something to say about human connection. The song's success showed that audiences were hungry for music that dealt with real emotions and experiences, not just the fantasy world of much popular music. It's a reminder that the best songs often come from the most honest places.
We all need somebody to lean.
Number 8. Go All the Way by the Raspberries.
Never knew how complete love could be.
The Raspberries were power pop pioneers who created perfect 3-minute slices of melodic rock, and Go All the Way was their masterpiece. The song reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and helped establish the template for what would later become known as power pop. Eric Carmen's soaring vocals and the band's tight harmonies created a sound that was both contemporary and timeless. The song was notable for its slightly risque lyrics, which were unusual for what was essentially a bubblegum pop song. Carmen wasn't being subtle about what "Go All the Way" meant, but he delivered the lyrics with such enthusiasm that they seemed innocent rather than suggestive. The song captured the excitement and urgency of young love in a way that resonated with both teenagers and adults. What made the Raspberries special was their ability to combine the melodic sensibilities of the Beatles with the energy of harder rock. Go All the Way was perfectly constructed pop music. Every element served the song, from the driving drums to the layered guitars to Carmen's passionate vocals. It showed that there was still room for pure pop music in an era when rock was becoming increasingly serious and complex. Number 7. Superstition by Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder was entering his imperial phase in 1972, and Superstition was the song that announced his arrival as a major force in popular music. The song spent 1 week at number 1 and showcased Wonder's incredible talents as a songwriter, producer, and performer. He played nearly every instrument on the track, creating a funk masterpiece that influenced countless musicians. The song's distinctive clavinet riff became one of the most recognizable hooks in popular music, but it was Wonder's vocal performance that really made the song special. He sang about superstition and irrationality with a conviction that made the message impossible to ignore. The song was both a dance floor filler and a philosophical statement about the power of belief and fear. Superstition was revolutionary in its production techniques. Wonder used his home studio to create a sound that was both intimate and powerful, layering instruments and vocals in ways that were ahead of their time. The song's success proved that R&B could be both commercially viable and artistically ambitious. It paved the way for Wonder's classic period in the mid-70s. Number 6. Tightrope by Leon Russell.
I'm up on a tight wire, one side.
Leon Russell was one of the most respected musicians in the business, a session player who had worked with everyone from the Beatles to Bob Dylan. But Tightrope was his moment in the spotlight. The song reached number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100 and showcased Russell's unique blend of rock, country, and gospel influences.
Like a rubber net around.
The song was about the precarious balance of life, with Russell singing about walking a tightrope between success and failure, love and loneliness. His weathered voice and the song's spare arrangement created an atmosphere of vulnerability that was unusual for rock music of the time. The song felt like a conversation with an old friend who had seen it all and lived to tell about it. Russell's piano playing was the heart of the song, with a rolling, gospel-influenced style that perfectly complemented his vocals. The production was deliberately raw and unpolished, giving the song an authenticity that stood out in an era of increasingly slick pop music. Tightro Rope showed that there was still room for individuality in popular music, even as the industry became more commercial.
Putting on a show for you to see.
Number 5. Papa Was a Rollin' Stone by The Temptations.
I never got a chance to see him.
The Temptations were no strangers to hit songs, but Papa Was a Rollin' Stone was something special. The song spent 1 week at number 1 and became one of the definitive examples of psychedelic soul. At over 11 minutes long, it was an epic that challenged radio programmers and rewarded patient listeners.
Bad talk going around town saying that Papa had 3 outside.
The song was built around a hypnotic bass line and minimal percussion, creating a groove that was both menacing and seductive. The Temptations' vocals told the story of a man trying to understand his absent father, with each verse revealing more about the family's pain and dysfunction. It was soul music as social commentary, dealing with issues that were rarely addressed in popular music.
Papa was a rolling stone.
What made the song remarkable was its restraint. Despite its length, nothing felt excessive or self-indulgent. Every element served the song's emotional journey, from the sparse instrumentation to the vocal arrangements. The song proved that soul music could be both commercially successful and artistically ambitious, paving the way for the more experimental R&B of the mid-70s. Number 4. Rocket Man by Elton John. Elton John was already a star by 1972, but Rocket Man showed a more introspective side of his artistry. The song reached number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of his most enduring compositions. Bernie Taupin's lyrics about isolation and alienation perfectly matched John's melancholy melody, creating a song that was both personal and universal.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time.
The song was inspired by Ray Bradbury's science fiction, but it worked as a metaphor for anyone who felt disconnected from their normal life. John's vocal performance was restrained and thoughtful, with none of the theatrical flourishes that would later become his trademark. The production was equally subtle, with Paul Buckmaster's orchestral arrangements adding emotional depth without overwhelming the song.
Touchdown brings me round again to find.
Rocket Man showed that Elton John could be more than just a flamboyant entertainer. The song revealed a serious artist who was capable of genuine emotion and insight. It established John as a songwriter who could handle complex themes while still creating memorable melodies. The song's success proved that audiences were ready for pop music that dealt with adult concerns and emotions. Number 3. Tumbling Dice by the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones were at the peak of their powers in 1972, and Tumbling Dice captured everything that made them special. The song reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and showcased the band's ability to create grooves that were both primal and sophisticated. Mick Jagger's vocal performance was typically charismatic, but it was the band's rhythm section that really made the song work. The song was about risk and chance, with Jagger singing about gambling and relationships with equal enthusiasm. The lyrics were typically cryptic, but the band's performance was crystal clear. This was rock and roll at its most elemental. Charlie Watts's shuffling drums and Bill Wyman's bass created a foundation that was both loose and tight, giving the song its distinctive swing. What made Tumbling Dice special was its humanity. Despite their reputation as the world's greatest rock and roll band, the Stones never forgot that music was about emotion and connection. The song's rough edges and imperfections were part of its charm. It sounded like real people making real music, not polished professionals going through the motions. Number 2. Day After Day by Badfinger Badfinger. Was often called the New Beatles, but Day After Day proved they were much more than imitators. The song reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and showcased the band's ability to create emotionally resonant pop music. Pete Ham's vocals were vulnerable and honest, supported by the band's tight harmonies and melodic guitar work. The song was about loss and longing, with Ham singing about the pain of watching someone you love slip away. The lyrics were direct and unpretentious, but they captured complex emotions with remarkable clarity. The band's arrangement was equally effective, with layers of guitars and vocals that created a wall of sound without losing the song's intimacy. Day after day. Tragically, Badfinger's story ended in heartbreak, with 2 members of the band dying by suicide in later years. But Day After Day remains a testament to their talent and their ability to create music that touched people's hearts. The song showed that there was still room for sincerity and emotion in popular music, even as the industry became more cynical. Number 1. I'll Take You There by the Staple Singers. The Staple Singers closed out our list with a song that was both spiritual and secular, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and becoming an anthem for the civil rights movement. Mavis Staples' powerful vocals and the band's gospel-influenced arrangement created a song that was both uplifting and urgent. The song proved that music could be both entertainment and inspiration. The song was built around a simple but effective groove, with Muscle Shoals musicians providing the backing track. The arrangement was spare, but powerful, with every element serving the song's message of hope and redemption. The Staple Singers' performance was both professional and passionate, showing that gospel music could reach mainstream audiences without compromising its spiritual message.
Oh, let me take you there. I'll take you there.
I'll Take You There was more than just a hit song. It was a statement of faith and hope during a difficult time in American history. The song's message of salvation and community resonated with audiences who were looking for something to believe in. It proved that popular music could be both commercially successful and socially meaningful, setting the stage for the conscious soul music of the mid-70s. These 15 songs represent just a fraction of the incredible music that came out of 1972. It was a year when radio was more adventurous, when artists were willing to take risks, and when audiences were hungry for music that meant something. From Melanie's innocent charm to the Staple Singers' spiritual power, these songs captured the complexity and diversity of American life in the early 70s. What strikes me most about these forgotten gems is how personal they feel. These weren't focus-grouped products designed to appeal to the lowest common denominator. They were expressions of individual artists' experiences and perspectives. Whether it was Bill Withers singing about community, Stevie Wonder exploring superstition, or the Raspberries celebrating young love, each song had something genuine to say. The fact that these songs have been largely forgotten says something about our relationship with musical history. We tend to remember the biggest hits and the most famous artists, but there's so much more to discover. These songs deserve to be heard again, not just as historical artifacts, but as living pieces of art that can still move us today. Maybe it's time to dig out those old records, or fire up your streaming service, and give these forgotten treasures another listen. Music this good doesn't deserve to be forgotten. It deserves to be celebrated and shared with new generations who might discover something magical in these 3-minute time capsules from 1972. If you enjoyed this journey back to 1972, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the forgotten corners of music history. And let me know in the comments which of these songs brought back memories for you, or if there are other forgotten gems from 1972 that you think deserve recognition. Until next time, keep listening and keep discovering.